Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing. When we talk about fighting, it's really important we talk about range and distance. We're going to talk about transitioning between long ranges to mid-range to your clinch, putting combinations and what strikes are most effective in each range. So before we get into transitioning between the ranges, it's important to know which strikes work better in which range. So the range that I like to call the furthest range possible is called long range. And in this range, you can't get hit and you can't hit your opponent. You are one step away from hitting them. So right now, I can't hit Matt. So in order for me to hit Matt, I need to take a step in. And at that point, I can step in and out of range. Okay? So that's my long range. And it's my decision when I want to step to attack and when I want to return. If Matt steps to me, I can step back and I'm still maintaining my long range, right? So that's the long range. Which weapons work best in this range? My straight punches and my kicks. My front kicks, my round kicks. It's my longest weapon. So if I don't want to have to get in close and maybe get in those dangerous attacks, I can stay long here and I'm constantly managing that space and distance. You notice when I go to attack, whether it's with my punch or my kick, I take one step in and I take that one step back, maintaining that long range, okay? So again, straight punches and round kicks, front kicks, and keeping that long distance. So those are my long range weapons, straight punches, front kicks, and round kicks. Now, the second range is the mid range. This is the range where it's the attacking range, where you're forced to defend a lot with your hands. So from this, we can both hit each other. This is the firefight. This is where you want to avoid being in if you don't want to get hit. So in my mid-range now, my weapons that become valuable are my hooks, my uppercuts, and I have knees from this range. And even in mid-range, I can still land a lot of good low kicks. So I can low kick, hooks, uppercuts, and hooks. Okay? I'm staying in that head-to-head range, what I call. That's my mid-range. And the third range we're going to talk about, now when I engage in the clinch, I have hand control. So that's my clinch range. So from here, obviously, you're looking at different styles of knees, hand controls, and elbows from the clinch range. So the whole point of this video is, yes, we know that there are different ranges, but what strikes and how do I transition between them? All right, so I don't want to just sit here, say I'm in long range, how do I get to clinch? I can't just walk into clinch because at this point I'm getting hit, I'm having to pass that mid-range. So what we're gonna do in this video is I'm gonna give you the concept of having a set combination in each of the different ranges. I'll give you my favorite and then you can add your own little flavor as long as you throw the appropriate strikes in the right range. So my combination from long range, okay, will be a nice double jab to my low kick, okay? From this range now, I need to get into mid-range. So the way I'm gonna get into mid-range is by using a feint. So now I bring in a feint and a nice shoulder, so now I can load up my hooks and my uppercuts from here, all right? So long range combination, double jab, low kick. I'm using the feint to get myself safely into mid-range. I'm gonna throw my hooks and uppercuts. Now I want to transition into my clinch. And you notice why I use my left hook, because I want to pin him, and as I pin him, my knee comes and I have control of the hands. All right, so that was my transition from mid-range to long range. So not only are they three combinations, I'm giving you little tips and tricks in how to close the range. Let me give you another example. Say I'm in long range and I want to enter into close range and clinch. I can use the skip step. Now I safely transitioned from long range to mid range, all right? So understanding that the ranges are different and you have to kind of find your own style and ways into transition between them. So back to that combination, I'll let you guys work. So I double jab in my long range, mix in the feint, hook to the head, hook to the body, and then when I'm ready after my uppercut, I knee into the clinch, and then I control this hand and I have my elbows off of that, all right? Now what I like to do is always when I do my drills, I like to have an exit. So if I made myself safely into my clinch, I don't want to disengage, okay? I don't want to just come here and stop because that's not realistic in fighting. Because if I'm in a clinch and I just stop like this, boom, the punches come, I get knocked out. So you need to be in control of exiting off of the clinch. So when I'm in my clinch here, first thing I'm gonna do, control the hands, boom, I exit with my exit low kick. Or from here, I'll push him off and create an attack off of that. All right, so let's get my flow from long range to mid range, and then I'll let Matt come back. Good. And back. And time. This may seem like a real easy concept, right? You have long range, you have mid range, and you have clinch combinations, but it's a little bit more advanced than that. When you really break it down to its finest details, you have to transition between those ranges safely, because when you go from long range to mid range, you can get hit. If you're going from mid range to clinch, you can also get hit. Those are the times where you're vulnerable, where you're walking into something. So having the different tips and strategies to control those are really important. Those skip steps, the feints, you know, all of that help to it. Especially if I throw good body kicks, I get my opponent to shell, and then I can enter, one of my favorites. When you attack, you get your opponent to shell, which allows you to get in, find your options, and do your work. But ultimately, if you're going into a fight, you have to look at your style and your opponent's style. If my style is good between mid-range and close range and clinch, and my opponent is good in a different range, you have to put yourself in the range where you're at the strength. So that's why a true martial artist, I will say, will perfect all three ranges. Just because you might be a karate fighter and want a point fight on the outside, you still have to know how to get into mid-range. You still have to know how to clinch. So if you're those true martial artists out there, work the transitions into all three ranges. Just don't stay in the one range you're most comfortable. Be a complete athlete. All right, make sure you keep liking, keep subscribing, and keep sharing the channel with your friends.